Mr. Spider's Spooky Spook, an Idea Box production, written and illustrated by Holland Overton. One day Mr. Spider woke up from his sleepy hole inside the wall. The sun was just peeking up through Mr. Spider's window, waving hello. Mr. Spider had his normal egg for breakfast. Mr. Spider sighed and thought to himself, "Today seems like it's going to be another everyday kind of day, unless something unexpected happens." As he descended from his little hole in the wall, then it happened. Mr. Spider noticed a very teeny yet noticeable dot behind him. It was small, but he grew suspicious. What did it want? He thought to himself. It looks as though it is following me. Easy, Mr. Spider, he thought to himself. Don't go jumping to conclusions. Just act like you don't notice and maybe it will go away. So Mr. Spider started to hum. But the spooky spot did not go away. It grew and it grew. Mr. Spider thought to himself, I can't let it know that I know that it is following me. He kept glancing over his shoulder. And then the spider got a plan. I will see if it indeed is following me, and with that he tippy-toed off. Tippy-toe, tippy-toe, tippy-toe. But the spooky spot still followed, so Mr. Spider jumped up and jockeyed onto a flower. He pretended to buzz around like a bee, hoping that the bee disguise would confuse the spooky spot. But when he looked, the spot was still there. Buzz, 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 buzz. So Mr. Spider swung and swerved across fields, but the spooky spot kept pace. He lagged and then he leaped up onto a log and pretended to be a frog, but the spot only grew bigger. Ribbut, 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 ribbut. The sun was now high in the sky and the wind whirled, whipping up. The clouds came in and the rain fell. Hurrah, hurrah! No more spooky spot. The spider splashed and splashed in the puddles. But his celebration was short-lived. As the rain left, a strange feeling grew in the spider. The sun shone, and Mr. Spider once again peeked over his shoulder, and there it was staring at him, the spooky spot. Terrified, Mr. Spider ran, and ran as fast as all of his legs could carry him. He darted and dashed over the hills. He leapt and lunged over rooftops. He swirled and swerved across rivers. But suddenly bubbles appeared, and he found himself inside one. Mr. Spider began rising, being raised high into the sky. At least, he thought, I'm far, far away from that spooky spot. As the bubbles climbed higher, the air grew warmer. As he rose, the sun got hotter and hotter, and then... pop! Down, down, down to earth he fell, tumbling and turning. But as the ground came into view, the spooky spook grew and it grew. Mr. Spider closed his eyes tight, and when he opened his eyes, voila! There was no more spooky spook. It had simply vanished. I must have squashed it like a bug, he proudly thought, flattened it like a tire. As Spider got up, he noticed the sun was beginning to go down and the moon was rising. Suddenly, as he stood up, an ominous feeling overtook him. As he peeked around, there it was. Spider jumped, and this time the spooky spook jumped too, growing even bigger than before, mimicking his every move. Mr. Spider made for the woods. No spook would follow him there. Mr. Spider thought to himself, that couldn't be what I think it is, but there it was, the spooky spot, a bit smaller than before, but there just the same. Mr. Spider ducked and dodged into a hole. He couldn't see himself, so he was sure that the spooky spook could in no way see him either. But Mr. Spider grew suspicious. What if it is just out there waiting for me, he thought, so he decided to sneak quietly away. Mr. Spider rappelled rapidly down a tree. Then he slipped and slid, snapping his silk rope. And he plummeted, plunging right into a pumpkin. At least by now, he thought, I lost that spooky spot. The moon was out, and Mr. Spider felt safe, now that the spooky spook was gone for good. The end. We hope you enjoyed this book. This is an Idea Box production by Holland Overton, Mr. Spider's Spooky Spook. Enjoy all of our other books on Amazon.